The Oakland A Spring Training 2023 continued as the Cactus League hit the road, with the A's playing a couple of games in Las Vegas, taking on the Cincinnati Reds at the home ballpark of their AAA affiliate, the Las Vegas Aviators. The week of A Spring Ball also saw the much-anticipated debut of free agent right-handed pitcher from Japan, Shintaro Fujinami. Some of the questions the Oakland Athletics had coming into camp in their rotation, bullpen, and throughout the lineup are already starting to solidify, and we're talking about it right now on the AthleticsStance podcast. I'm Jason Currier, and I very much appreciate you listening. If you could, please take a moment to subscribe, and don't forget to click that notification bell to receive notification when we post our new stuff. The plan is to post once a week during the spring, and then I'll post for opening day, and then as the season progresses, I'll post at the end of each series. So I'll post at the end and I'll review the series that just happened, and then I'll preview the upcoming series. And that's how I'll progress through the season. So it's going to be a little bit fluid as far as when I post. So if you could please click that notification bell so that you receive that notification when I do post. Because it's, again, it's not going to be a set schedule where I post on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's going to be a little bit more fluid than that. The Oakland A starting pitcher on opening day could very well be the free agent right-handed pitcher from Japan, Shintaro Fujinami, who ironically was taking on his spring debut. He was taking on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and he's going to eventually make his major league debut against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, which is part of the enticing thing for the A's to make Fujinami their opening day starter, because they are playing the Angels, and the Angels are going to be starting Shohei Ohtani as their ace and their opening day starter. So that matchup is right there for the A's, and that would be a huge story. That would probably be their biggest story of the year, if you exclude the possibility of them moving to Vegas. As far as on the field stuff, that might be the biggest story that they have all year, is Fujinami taking on Ohtani to start the season. That would just be massive in Japan. And to add a little spice to the mix, Ohtani and Fujinami were in the same draft class in Japan. So these guys have literally been compared to one another since like high school days. So this would be a massive deal in Japan if Fujinami was going up against Ohtani on opening day. It would be huge. In his Cactus League debut, Shintaro Fujinami, wearing number 11, which is a sacred number in Japan, it's the number that the clubs give the ace of their pitching staff. He pitched a couple of innings again against the Anaheim Angels, and he struck out the first guy that he faced with just a nasty, filthy splitter, which I think is his best pitch, even though he's got a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. It's a little straight, but that splitter is just filthy. In the second inning that Fujinami pitched, he got another strikeout, and then he got himself in some trouble. The stuff that we've been reading about, that he had some control issues last year in Japan. Apparently last year in Japan, he had such control issues that he spent some time in the minor leagues just working on some stuff, trying to get himself right. And so we knew going in that this was going to be possibly an issue. Or I should say, we knew going in that they're going to be working on this, and that they might be working with some of his mechanics to try to remedy some of those control issues. So I'm not necessarily surprised that he had some control issues. He ended up walking the bases loaded. And the good part is he did walk the bases loaded. He had his control issues, but he pitched his way out of it, and he got the ground ball double play. 6-4-3, I believe it was. So he was able to pitch his way out of it. No runs across the board. So, yes, he had the control issues, but he also was able to show a little moxie and got himself out of the inning without a single run scratched across the board. So that part was actually kind of impressive. And again, I'm not necessarily overly concerned, even though he's had the control issues in the past, because again, it's literally the first 2 innings that this guy's pitched at the major league level. I'm 1,000% sure that they're working on some mechanical stuff with him. I'm not necessarily concerned that he had some control issues. He's working on some stuff. It's so early. The guy's got really good stuff though. He, again, 97-mile-an-hour fastball, little on the straight side, but super filthy splitter. That he throws it at like 92, 93, so it's nasty. Paul Blackburn was the A's lone all-star last year. He's obviously got firm grasp on another spot. He's really Fujinami's main competition for opening day starter, I believe. I don't think that the A's are going to pass up that opportunity to have Ohtani against Fujinami. I just really don't think they're going to pass that up. I don't think that they should pass that up. With the struggles that they've had, that's not a story that you can just leave on the table, I don't think. The rest of the rotation outside of Blackburn and Fujinami has also started to already kind of round out. Drew Wazinski, who I said last week that the A's signed Drew Wazinski from the KBO to help them round out the bullpen, but boy was I wrong. They absolutely completely brought in Drew Wazinski to be a starter. They had said during the broadcast that, and I didn't know much about Drew Wazinski. I just assumed he was a bullpen guy. But they said that in Korea, I believe they said he played 3 years in Korea. And it may have been 4. But he was a starter throughout his whole run. And I believe they very much brought him in to be one of their 5 starters. So the A's seem to have Fujinami, Blackburn, Drew Wazinski, James Kaprielian when he's healthy. That's 4 of your 5 starters. That only leaves one more spot, and there was like 10 guys fighting out, or I figured there was about 10 guys fighting for 5 of the spots. Well, obviously 4 of them are full now. So you've got a bunch of guys that are going to be scrapping for that last spot. And it was mentioned during one of the broadcasts. I don't even think it was I don't believe it was the Angels game. I want to say it was like against the game against the Rockies. Anyway, Ken Korek had said that the Angels were likely to carry a 6-man rotation so that they can give Ohtani a little bit extra time off. And he had said that the A's might end up doing that with Fujinami. I think that might be connected with what we had heard early on. I believe they had said this at the first game of the spring, that J.P. Sears, who started that game, might play a bit of a hybrid role this year. We talked about this last week, where he might be an opener, he might be a spot starter, he might be that second arm out of the bullpen. He's going to play. They had said that he might play a little bit of a hybrid role, which would make sense if they're going to carry 6 starters. It also fits into the whole Sam Moll is the only left-handed pitcher in the bullpen that really has a defined role that he's going to have a role. So that all kind of seems to fit, and I would think it just made a lot of sense that might be what they're going to do. I don't know if they're planning on using JP, like I said, as an opener, if they're going to have him just kind of spot start and be that 6th man in the rotation and just kind of float in between being a spot starter and being that second left-handed pitcher out of the bullpen. I don't know any of that, but I do know that they mentioned very early on that JP might be playing some sort of a hybrid role, and Now that it's coming out that they are considering doing the 6-man rotation thing, that makes even more sense. Veteran right-handed pitcher Austin Pruitt is also a guy that we didn't mention last week that's probably going to make this club. Probably going to be a guy that is a veteran guy that Kotsay can turn to when he needs a body out of the bullpen to throw some strikes. That's kind of what he was last year for him. So that would make some sense for him to make the club. Yeah, I totally left him out of the loop last week. I didn't even mention him. Positional battles are also starting to take form, with Aledmus Diaz looking like the everyday shortstop. I'm a little bit surprised by that just because of Diaz. He's got so much versatility. You can play the guy literally all over the infield and even in the outfield. And you've got Nick Allen right there that I was really hoping was going to come into this camp and was going to just demand that spot. But it's looking right now like Aledmus Diaz is going to be their everyday shortstop. Another free agent addition in Jace Peterson. Looks like he's getting firm grip on the starting third base spot. Like he's going to be the everyday third baseman. He's another guy that's very versatile. Again, the A's seem to have targeted those guys during this offseason as far as guys that they spent some free agent money on. The guys that they brought in are versatile guys. And I don't think that that's an accident. But Jace Peterson is still looking like very much like the everyday third baseman right now. Seth Brown seems to have his days of being a first baseman behind him as he's kind of settled into really either one of those the corner outfield spots. The A's have kind of a little bit of a platoon situation developing at first base. They've got right-handed batter, free agent from the Miami Marlins, Jesus Aguilar, and Ryan Noda from the left side. Both guys have good power. Ryan is, of course, the Rule 5 draftee, so he has to stay on the big club or he has to be offered back to the Dodgers. So I am pretty sure that he's going to make the club. He's looked okay during the spring so far. He's a big, strong dude. So, and Jesus Aguilar is a big dude himself. He's a big dude wearing a big number. He was wearing number 99. I hope he carries that into the regular season. I kind of dig that. I'm wondering if Kevin Kroon can get into that mix. He's a big, strong right-handed bat, and the A's don't have a ton of power in their lineup or on their bench. So I think Kevin Kroon could actually make this club, which would be pretty cool. There was a fun little moment. The A's took on the Colorado Rockies, and CJ Kroon for Colorado was playing against his brother Kevin in the A's lineup, and their dad, Chris Kroon, is the A's assistant hitting coach. So that it was Kroons everywhere. So that had to be a pretty amazing moment for that family. So we're about a week into spring training 2023, and some of the questions that the Oakland A's had coming in are already starting to get answered. Unfortunately, there are some injury issues that are preventing some of those questions from being answered right now. Ramon Laureano, unfortunately, has a pulled groin, and he's going to miss some time. The good thing is the A's pretty much know what they have in Ramon, so he doesn't really have a lot to prove. I'm sure he's got some stuff that he wants to work on, but the A's know what they have in Ramon. They don't necessarily know what they have in guys like Christian Pache, like JJ Bleday, like Connor Capel, who with Ramon going down, those guys are obviously going to get some more opportunities. So I don't know if that's, not that it's not a bad thing that Ramon's hurt, but it doesn't really hurt my feelings all that much because again, the A's know what they have in Ramon. So this is going to give an opportunity for guys like JJ Bleday and guys like Connor Capel, especially. Maybe not so much Christian Pache. I think that he's out of options. So I think that he's probably going to be at least their fourth outfielder, I would think, this year. I would think. And he's still got a chance. If the guy could just hit. He had a great catch against the Reds in the second game in Vegas. He was running up the right center field gap and jumping up against the fence and took away a double. The guy is just amazing in center field. And his energy that he plays with is fun. I just really wish the guy could hit a little bit. He doesn't even have to hit much with what he brings defensively. He doesn't even have to hit that much. Just hit above 200. Another unfortunate injury, and this one is really unfortunate. Kirby Snead has some shoulder issues. Again, we talked about last week, and we talked about it a little bit again this week. The A's really only have one defined role guy in the bullpen from the left-hand side in Sam Moll, and Kirby Snead had a chance to be the other guy. If they don't do some sort of hybrid thing with JP Sears, Kirby Snead had the chance to be the other left-handed arm out of the bullpen. And unfortunately for Kirby, he is having some shoulder issues, which is always scary, especially this early in camp to have some shoulder issues. It makes you wonder if maybe he didn't have something going on and he's irritated it now that camp start. I don't know. I just feel really bad for the guy. He had a great opportunity to make the major league club, and not only make the major league club, but have a role that he's counted on. So just I feel bad for Kirby. Manny Pena, the A's backup catcher, is also dealing with some injury issues. They had said on the broadcast that they're not expecting Pena to be ready for opening day. So the A's are going to have a backup catcher for Langerhans. And that's going to be a big question that's going to need to be answered. And I was thinking that the A's might carry 3 catchers in to the regular season anyway, but now they're kind of having to scratch for a second one. And I think that part of the reason that they're having to kind of search is I don't think they're ready to bring up Tyler Soderstrom yet, even though he's probably the most obvious answer. He's their number 1 overall prospect. He needs some more time in the minors, I think, or they think. I think they think. They could kind of jump things with Tyler and bring him up this year, have him start the regular season. He can play a little bit of first. He can be your backup catcher. He can be your DH. You can, when you want to give Langerhans a rest and you don't want to have his bat out of the lineup, you can move him over to DH and put Soderstrom behind the plate. Again, I just don't know if they're ready to do that just yet. I don't know if they're ready to bring Tyler up to the big club just yet. They've got this young group of prospects that it seems like they want to bring them up through the system together. This young group of A's that include Tyler Soderstrom, Zach Geloff, that I believe they got in the Chappie trade from Toronto. The A's really seem to love his makeup. They mentioned on the broadcast how much they love him. He looks like he's about 16 years old, too. Another young guy is another young catcher, which is probably why the A's were willing to trade Sean Murphy this last offseason. Was they've got a bit of a surplus of good young catching right now. They've got Soderstrom, they've got Langerhans, and they've got Daniel Susak, who is part of this young group, this young core that seems to be progressing through the system together. They've also got infielder Jordan Diaz. He's either corner, infield, third base, first base. He's, I believe, like their 7th overall prospect. He's one of the young guys that they seem to really like. But the early standouts for the A's so far in the Cactus League has been a pair of outfielders. Denzel Clark, who's also going to be playing for Team Canada in the World Baseball Classic, has looked particularly good. And the absolute superstar of camp to me so far, like, has been Lawrence Butler. This dude is so fun to watch. He's hitting the cover off the ball. And 2, this dude hustles. He's got an energy about him when he plays that just comes out. And he hit a ball. I can't even remember who they were playing, but he hit just a single right up the middle and literally took second base by hustling. And then he's on second, and the third baseman kind of shifted over towards short and got a little too far over, and Butler just flat out beat him to the bag. Like, he basically stole the base uncovered. The dude's a stud. He's super fun to watch. Like I said, he's got this energy about him that he plays with, and I really, really, really am looking forward to seeing him hit the major league level. I just hope that by the time he gets there, that the A's are still in Oakland. The new rules in Major League Baseball seem to have improved, or should probably say quickened, the pace. So far, there were 69 violations in week 1 of spring training. I'm assuming that's Cactus League and Grapefruit League. So there have been 69 violations of the pace clock. I had seen a statistic that at the AAA level, they of course already started the pace clock and the larger bags, I believe, also at the AAA level last year. And they had said that once everything settled, they were averaging, I want to say they were averaging a violation every 2 games. So they settled into this rule, this pace clock rule. I think Major League Baseball is going to settle into it as well. To me, it seems like the batters are a little bit more rushed than the pitchers have been. There's only 15 seconds in between pitches with the bases empty. And the batter has to be in the box ready to hit with 8 seconds left. So in between pitches, it's boom, boom, boom. Those guys are hustling. Those guys have to be ready to hit with 8 seconds left. And again, most pitchers, it seems like they're throwing with 5-6 seconds left on the clock. So they're not waiting around till the end of that clock. And the batters seem to be more rushed to me than the pitchers have been. I noticed that there's also been a lot more snap throws over to first. I don't know if that's a product of spring or if that's a product of the pitchers only having 2 disengagements per at bat. That might be, to me, that seems like a way for the catcher to kind of control the run game without the pitcher having to step off. It seems to me like that might be a bit of a thing coming up this upcoming season. It seems to be a bit of a trend. I've noticed it in a few games. I saw Zach Jackson get a violation. I haven't seen very many violations for the A's. It's been pretty few and far between, but I saw Zach Jackson get one. And as the clock's running down, he tried to ask for a new ball, and the umpire was like, "No, that's a ball." he got hit with the violation, even though he tried to ask for a new ball. So it didn't quite work, and they had said that they weren't going to allow guys to try to circumvent the rules. So that was an example of Zach trying to get away with one, and it didn't work. I saw a non-A's situation with the clock, with the pace clock, and a pace clock violation. I was watching the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm a little bit obsessed with O'Neal Cruz. I think that guy's going to be an absolute superstar, and I was watching the Pirates so that I could watch him. And the Pirates were pitching. I don't even remember who the pitcher was. And there was a right-handed batter. There was an opposite field shot to right field. And the right fielder overran it a little bit, but the ball was spinning funny, and when it hit, it took a bad kick, and it kicked back behind the right fielder. So ball's rolling, and by the time the right fielder got to it and got it in, runner was over at third. Well, the pitcher had been, throughout the game, he had been throwing the ball throughout the game. Like, he pitched just a ton of innings. It was an inning before this. He was pitching sometimes with like 8 seconds, like as soon as the batter was ready, he was ready to pitch. 7, 8, 6 seconds left on the clock. And there was this shot to right field. The right fielder misplayed it. Ball comes in. I'm thinking that the pitcher was trying to get himself right mentally. And the very next pitch, after the would-be double that ended up being a triple, he got the pace clock violation on the very next pitch. And so to me, it felt like that was just a pitcher trying to get himself mentally right and ready for the next batter, and he just ran out of time. It's only a ball. I would rather see the pitcher get called for the violation than climb up on that mound when he's not ready. But it still felt like, oh, I don't really like that. It felt like, I don't know. It just didn't feel like it fit. It didn't feel like baseball. So that was the week that was the first week of spring training 2023 for the Oakland Athletics. They, again, are already starting to have some things round into form positional battle-wise, and also in the starting rotation. Things are already kind of starting to round into form, and we're only a week in. So it's going to be interesting to see the way things kind of play out for the rest of spring. So thank you guys for listening. Very much appreciated. Again, if you could please click that subscribe button, and don't forget to click that notification bell to receive notification when we post our new stuff. Again, very, very much appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening. Love you guys. Good night.